Welcome everyone to the 10th episode of Water Academy podcast by Water.io. Yeah, that's something to celebrate. I brought here this and actually the podcast studio didn't like the idea of having confetti, but we're gonna do it regardless. So how we popping it up?
One, two.
It's gonna flood my coffee.
Oh!
Yeah!
He's gonna be so mad.
He's gonna be mad, yeah. Sorry. Well,
We love you.
mine didn't work, of course. Karen, it's on you. Today we're chatting with Gene, the founder of Charity Miles, about how he turns your miles into money for charity. Get ready for some inspiration and fun.
All right. Welcome.
Okay. Hope I don't disappoint.
Oh,
You won't disappoint.
well, even if you do, then what's the worst that can happen? Just drink a bit of water
Exactly.
and everything's going to be all right. So, Jin, can you share a bit about your career as a lawyer and what inspired you to switch from law to creating Charity Miles?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, so I used to be a lawyer a long time ago, and my grandfather was a lawyer. I'm very fortunate. I had a great relationship with my parents and all my grandparents. And my grandfather was always a role model to me, and so I wanted to be a lawyer like him. He was also an entrepreneur, so I always wanted to be an entrepreneur like him as well. When I was in law school, a long time ago, over 20 years ago, I started to run marathons to raise money for Parkinson's disease because my grandfather, who I was just talking about, had Parkinson's. And, we were active as a family and supporting different Parkinson's organizations. And so I started, getting very involved with that. And then when I graduated law school, I started to get more involved with the Michael J. Fox Foundation. And then at the law firm I was at, because I was very involved with the Michael J. Fox Foundation, if one of the partners was on the board of a different charity, I would get involved with that charity and help do legal work for that. So I just started to, work with a lot of charities, and that's something that really inspired me. And then when iPhones came out, I had this idea that if I could, take all the people like me and put us on one side of the phone, then, companies would want to be on the other side of the phone. We could, use our collective power to be sponsored and help raise a little more money for the charities. And so that was the original idea behind Charity Miles was bring, ordinary people like me together and earning corporate sponsorships for charities. But the idea has really grown a lot since then. We're 12 years old now, and I continue to keep learning more every day about the different ways that we make an impact with Charity Miles.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow, what a story. And because you're humble, I'll just say that I know that you studied in Harvard Law School, right?
Yeah.
So
That's right.
I'm guessing it wasn't
but
easy
but
to
don't
let that
fool
go.
you. Don't let that fool you. I loved law school. I loved being a lawyer, and I loved law school. And and I still get very interested in things about the law. So it's still definitely very much a part of me.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, what criteria do you use to pick the charities that Charity Miles partners with? Like, are there specific values or missions you look for in a charity?
So that's a great question. And maybe it'll go back to a little bit in the history. So when I started Charity Miles, we started with 10 charities. And these were all charities that I had built a relationship with, like I said, as a lawyer, doing a lot of legal work for charities. My relationship with the Michael J. Fox Foundation. And the idea was that we were going to really keep it pretty exclusive to 10 internationally known, nationally, very recognizable brands across different causes. And because, we wanted to make sure that the corporate sponsors that were going to come into the app were going to feel comfortable with the brands of the charities that we had in the app. And we also wanted our members who were coming from all over the world to recognize the brands
Yeah.
of the charities that were in the app and to feel good about the brands of the charities that we had in the app. And, when we started off, we had a little bit of success, and the success grew and more people used it, and we got a lot of press and won some awards, and that was all nice. And as we continued to grow, every day charities would be reaching out to us to want to be in the app. And I always felt terrible that I wasn't able to add them. We started to add some. We were very selective about the charities that we added. We, again, wanted to make sure that they were charities that we thought a lot of people would want to walk for, so that, no matter where you were in the world, it would make sense that that charity was in the app. It wasn't like a small local organization that would only make sense to a small local group of people. But every day charities were reaching out to us. And the only thing that I didn't like about Charity Miles was saying no to charities that wanted to be in the app. So, because, these are charities that are trying to do great work, and, it's an honor that they're reaching out to be a part of Charity Miles, and I'm, saying that I can't help them. But it was also a challenge, because even if I wanted to add them, we didn't have, as generous as our corporate sponsors were and are, they don't give us an unlimited amount of money.
Yeah, of course.
So I keep trying to find an unlimited amount of money, and I haven't found it yet. And but I haven't given up either. So, adding charities to the app would just dilute the corporate sponsorship resources that we had for everybody. So we really stopped adding charities to the app, and I've, maybe about like 7 years ago. And then
really?
We've really been, but then what happened was, I was like, we have to change the way that Charity Miles works. It can't just be corporate sponsorship, because I don't like telling all these charities that they can't be in the app. So we really had to think about, what are the other ways that we could be helpful for the charities, other than the fact that we might have some corporate sponsors. So we've changed it so that if a charity, now that our criteria is basically, are they doing work that's actual charity work? It's not like, the NFL or something like that, which is technically a charity, but not really a charity.
I didn't know that.
They don't discriminate. So we don't allow any charities that discriminate, and that's only actually come up once. They don't support guns. That's never come up.
Makes sense.
And that we can be helpful for them. And the criteria about whether or not we can be helpful for them is really up to the charity. And so when charities reach out to us, sometimes they're reaching out to us because they think that we have corporate sponsorship, just like an unlimited pool of corporate sponsorship dollars for them. And all they're going to have to do is get a few people to walk, and money's going to rain from the sky. And so nobody wishes that were true more than me. But we haven't cracked that nut yet. So I just like to be very forward with them and very upfront with them about the fact that that's not really how it works. And here are the different ways that we can be helpful for you. And the ways that we can be helpful for them are, helping them grow their community, helping them engage their community, helping them raise awareness for their cause. If they have corporate partners, they can put their corporate partners in the app. Their supporters can do peer-to-peer fundraising for them, like by asking their friends and family to sponsor them. And then there's, other like more holistic ways that we can be helpful for them. And if they think that all of that would be helpful for them, which I think that it is usually the case that would be helpful for a charity, then we would be glad to add them to the app. We also have like a kind of a way for charities to just be in the app without necessarily even partnering with us. And that is currently through the PayPal Giving Fund, which is something that PayPal runs, where they have like hundreds of thousands of charities, and we basically connect to their API, which just allows anybody to go in and choose any of those charities from the PayPal Giving Fund as the charity that they want to support. That doesn't mean that there's any corporate sponsorship for those people, but those people can, and the charity might not even know that they're doing it. So the charity's not really getting the full benefit of it. But if you come in and you select that you want to walk for like your local animal shelter through the PayPal Giving Fund, you can raise awareness for that charity. You can do peer-to-peer fundraising for that charity. We're actually about to move off of the PayPal Giving Fund for that into a partnership with GoFundMe, which we're very excited about. But that'll serve like the same purpose, so that it really opens up Charity Miles so that anybody who comes in can really support almost any charity that they want, even if that charity is not technically partnered with us in the app.
Awesome. How many in total do you have? How many charities?
Well, I mean, through that, it's like hundreds of thousands of charities
Wow.
you can find in the app. So it's almost like limitless.
Wow. So just to make sure I understand, you have corporate partnerships or corporate sponsors with that. You have some kind of agreements with them that they donate a certain amount of money, which you can give away to these charities. But that's, as you said, that's limited. And then the other charities can use the platform to engage their community, like you said, or fundraise through friends and family. I actually downloaded the app yesterday, so I saw that you can mark friends, family, or corporate sponsors. So assuming I understood correctly,
that's all correct. And also companies, we have something for companies that do employee engagement, where companies will sponsor their employees.
Oh, okay, that's not interesting. So how do you navigate the funds from the corporate sponsors? Like, do they tell you, okay, we want you to donate this to this kind of charity, and then you have to give it away to a certain kind of charity? Like, how does that work?
So sometimes there are charity specific sponsors where, a company will say, okay, we're going to do this, but we only want this to be related to this charity or this cause. Sometimes, like if a charity brings in their own corporate sponsor, which is what we like the most, then that's a charity specific sponsorship, and it's just that charity and that sponsor, and the charity actually controls the relationship, and oftentimes we don't even know about it. And then if there's more of a charity agnostic sponsorship, is really more like an advertising budget where the company is advertising with us, and we use some of those advertising budgets to run the app, and we use the other parts to incentivize other impactful behavior in the app. So it's not like you get like a certain amount of cents per mile or anything like that, because like I said, we don't have the unlimited resources to be able to promise that. But we might say that, if you raise a certain amount of money from friends and family, or if you raise any money from friends and family, or you do a certain other impactful action like share on social media or get a streak or otherwise engage with your charity, you have a chance of winning a certain amount of money from our sponsorship resources. And so we use that as like an incentive to drive other impactful behavior in the app.
Nice.
Cool.
So you ran a bunch of marathons.
Yeah, dozens of marathons, actually. It's no small feat. I wanted to ask, how did your marathon experience shape Charity Miles up?
Well, so I started running marathons, like I said, when I was in law school, and
In Moscow?
I was doing it to raise money for Parkinson's research. And I was very involved with Team Fox, which is the grassroots fundraising arm of the Michael J. Fox Foundation. It's one of their founding members. And, I was always running marathons. So like the idea kind of just grew out of that, which I was doing. But what I kind of quickly learned in Charity Miles very early on is that it's really not about running marathons. This is about how you walk through life. And, my dad, so I'm Jewish, as I'm assuming both of you are, since you're in Israel. My dad always told me, like, we didn't really go to temple that much, just like for the high holidays, but so not like very like religiously Jewish, but my dad always like made a point of like showing me how like tikkun olam, like that we're here to like repair the world, and he would always show me how, like, examples of like Jewish philanthropists and how Jewish people were donating a lot of money to charity, and like that was part of a big part of what it meant to be Jewish. And so like charity and philanthropy was like a big emphasis in my family growing up. And so I always thought like, that was like the thing about being Jewish. And kind of later in my life, my dad was like, no, you're missing. That's not really the point. It's not just about like giving money to charity. It's about how you walk through life. And that struck a chord with me. And like that to me is what Charity Miles is about. It's not about like running marathons or doing some like, event. It's just about how do we walk through life. So the people who are joining Charity Miles, they don't have to join. Like there's nobody forcing them to join, and there's nobody forcing them to use the app every day. So the fact that they're making that kind of conscious choice to walk with us every day, they're walking through life with some cause in their heart. And that to me is really the most impactful thing that we do with Charity Miles, not running a marathon to raise some money or walking to raise some money. It's walking with that purpose, and then that purpose informing all of the other decisions that we make in our day, whether it's, what do we eat for lunch? Do we drink more water because we care about our health? Do we go to sleep early? Are we kinder to strangers? Do we have more empathy for people who cut us off on the road, when we're driving? Like just all of that kind of comes together so that it's not really about, doing something extraordinary like a marathon, but extraordinary in that we go the extra mile.
Yeah,
That's inspiring.
Yeah. Just so I know, because I registered through the app, I marked a certain charity, and so now when I run, it's connected to Apple Health. I did a run actually yesterday. So does that count now? So every mile now counts, and we'll go to that NGO.
Yes, and so you're bringing up an interesting.
And also,
dilemma.
so, another question just that follows on that is, so I don't actually need to open the app because once I registered, I'm good to go.
Yes. However, so you're bringing up an interesting dilemma. When we started Charity Miles, the only way to use the app was that you had to open it, you had to start an activity, record it. You click the button on the bottom of the screen to say that you're walking or running or biking. You go, you do your activity, you save it, and it counts just that activity. And you had to be very active in tracking that. And people would always say, oh man, I meant to do that. I went for my run and I forgot to start the app, or I was walking and I forgot to start the app. So we put in this connection with Apple Health so that you didn't always have to remember to do that. And you could just like walk, and you could walk through your day, you could go for your run, and you don't have to remember to start and stop the app. It's just going to automatically track you. The only thing that you have to do is open Charity Miles once every 30 days, and it will pull in your data from Apple Health over the last 30 days. Apple won't, or an Android, they don't push us the data. They're not allowed to do that. We have to pull it from your phone.
Okay.
And in order for us to be able to pull it from your phone, you do have to open the app, but you only have to open the app every 30 days for us to be able to do that. However, and so we put that in as a convenience for people precisely because of the question that you just asked, and in the way that you just asked it, which is we wanted to make it very easy for people. And so, yes, technically all those miles count. However, I have a dilemma and I have mixed feelings about that, because that, to me, that's not the point. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier about how do we walk through life. It doesn't really matter so much to me like that you walked around or you did a run today if you weren't mindful of the fact that it was for a cause, that you were doing it for a charity. I want you to think about that. I want that to be in your head, at least. I want you to at least tell yourself a story that you did your run. What cause are you supporting?
Leket Israel, USA lovers of Leket Israel, giving food to the underprivileged.
Right. So like, I want you to at least think about that when you go on your run. Like that's what makes it special. And if you just went on your run and didn't even think about that, and like maybe later on you're like, oh yeah, great, like that counts in charity miles, that's not really the point for me. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
while it is there as a convenience, like it's important for us. And so we're always trying to do things to remind you to even in other ways, other than just like the tracking, through storytelling, through other engaging things, through our podcast, just to be more a part of your life so that you are thinking about that when you go on your run or when you walk through your day.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. It actually really resonates with the world that we come from at Water.io, because it's very similar with water, but we kind of want to put that in the back of your mind that no matter what you're doing, remember to hydrate. I mean, it's kind of funny. People find it funny sometimes when they talk to us about.
It's so basic.
Yeah, it's like
still people don't drink enough.
You know that sentence we get a lot. Now, what's the next thing? You'll need something to remind you to breathe.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's factually true, and research has shown that people just forget and don't drink enough water.
Actually, most people.
That's why we're doing this podcast. That's why we're doing everything that we do. But we are running out of time. So do you want to ask your traditional question, Gil?
Sure. Yeah. So to wrap up every interview, we're actually asking a question about water stories. So, Gene, I want you to tell me something that has something to do with water, something funny, interesting. It's up to you. Something that has something to do with water or hydration.
Stories. Well, I'm a big believer.
It can be related to Water.io, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I'm a simple guy. So like for me, like in my life, like I just need like a few very simple things. I try to go to bed early every night, wake up early every morning, get in some kind of exercise every day, eat a salad of some kind every day, and drink 100 ounces of water every day. So like I find like if I get those 5 things done, like other things just kind of fall into place. So like for me, like I'm pretty like, you know, it's 100 ounces of water every day. But when I think of like funny stories that have to do with hydration, it's always when I didn't have enough hydration. So like sometimes like when I like I used to like try to like be like really tough, and like I thought I had to be like, you know, I'm from like a pretty sheltered environment here in New Jersey, and I felt a little insecure about that. I thought I needed to be a lot tougher. So I would like throw myself out into the woods for like, you know, days on end to, you know, with like no water. And I would just try to run as far as possible through the woods with like not very much water. And then I would get like really dehydrated and delirious and like get lost and like,
wow.
So like I've had some funny stories like, which maybe aren't that funny, but like they were funny to me at the time, where I'd go to like a crazy dark place in like the middle of the woods and kind of like on a vision quest type of thing. But that always also underscored to me just like the importance of how much we need water. Cause like once you are dehydrated, everything falls apart. Whether it's in like a race, like in all of the endurance races that I've done, if it's hot, I get dehydrated and everything falls apart. And it's the same thing in life. Like even if you're not in an endurance race, if like you're even mildly dehydrated in your day, you're just not going to be thinking as clearly.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're not going to be performing at your job as well. It makes a difference. And, you know, so I'm a big believer in water. It changes everything.
Well, we're the first to agree with you on that. And on that note, I'm glad that you ended up safe and healthy from your journeys of into the wild.
Yeah, I'd be more scared to bump into a bear than getting dehydrated.
Yeah, and if you want to check out Charity Miles, check out the app, Charity Miles. I think it's available both on iOS and Android. And We're the Water Academy by Water.io, the smartest water bottle in the world. If you want to learn more about us, just hop on our website, water.io, and you can see and learn all about this amazing product that helps people become healthier and happier people all over the world. I'm Nitzan Gil, and thank you so much, Gene, for joining us, and we'll see you in the next episode.